Hello everyone, it's Jean from the Inky Studio, and I'm so happy to see you stop by today. I have a project in which I'm going to be using up my scraps, all kinds of scraps, lace scraps, fabric, paper, bits and bobs of all kinds of things I have laying around. And this project is going to be collaging little tuck spots to put into our journals. So I just folded a piece of scrap paper here, so it's kind of a basic journal page, we'll just call it. And we'll just be gluing these in, and then we'll be having something to tuck a piece of ephemera up into. And this is another great project to use at book pages because we're going to definitely be using those. So what I've done is I've gathered things I want as part of my collage. And the first thing is neutral papers, which usually for me are these book pages, music pages. This is a digital ledger page that I tore up, some plain tea stain paper. I've tried to get them in varying shades, dark and light, and different kinds of text, trying to change it up that way. Also, any kind of a neutral print that is not really loud or anything. That works out really well. This is kind of neutral, but yeah, just neutral. And this is burlap digital. It looks like the real deal, but that's kind of fun too. So you can just look in your scrap bag and see what you have. Just any kind of text and neutral. Then I am also going to use a little bit of colored paper. Try not to get, you may, but I don't want anything that's like going to take away from the centerpiece, but just some prints that might have the color scheme in them that I'm following in my journal, in the pinks or creams or blues or whatever theme you might be having in the journal. So I have a few of those. Don't need as many, but I have a few of those. And those are sort of like part of the base of our project. Also, we need some kind of texture in there. So I have collected things like cheesecloth and scraps of a paper doily. Buttons are great. Threads are also a good addition. This is baker's twine. This is from a piece of fabric, some that's shredded, or the threads came out. And this here is embroidery floss. That works really nice too. So these are just all ideas, and here is a second thing for your book pages, and that is I have a little flower punch, and so I punched out a few of the flowers and I've put little brads inside of them, and these also really add a lot of texture and interest to your collage. So these are just and lace, absolutely. I got these here. I have all my lace scraps are in here. I mean, I saved them all, no lace scrap too small. So I saved all those. So these are just all ideas that you can use to decorate your journal with. And then last but not least is the center, the focal point, the main character in your play, so to speak. And so I have some birds here I'd like to use. I have some florals, and just whatever you like to use in your journal. And these are all, they're sort of like, I think this is like a maybe it's a 2x2. Yeah, not quite a 2x2. Is about where you want them, because here is your collage, so you want something that will fit onto the collage. But anyways, these you'll want to choose these, and then you'll want to choose supporting actors. If that's your main actor, then I choose supporting ones. And I love Tracy Fox has a little kit out with little minis. Really, really do like that kit. So I've cut out a whole bunch of little mini stuff, numbers and labels, and just interesting little doodads there. So you'll want something that won't distract from your main player, but just a little extra something. Postage stamps work really well for this idea as well. Words, if you have words, those are great. So that's what I've collected and what I'm going to be working with. And of course you want your glue. Now you probably could use a glue stick, but I'm just going to go ahead and use my glitter glue and in a little bottle where I can aim it pretty good there. So, but you can use just white glue too. That's fine. Now for the base, I'm going to start out with some cardstock, and you'll see why as we go along, why I'm using this as the base. You will not be seeing this. This is not something that'll show, so it doesn't really matter what the cardstock color it is. I start with a 3.5 inch square, and then I cut it from corner to corner. 3.5 inches is not like set in stone measurement, but it's kind of one that has worked well for me. You can, you know, make it smaller by tearing off the ends or something of that nature, but 3.5 works pretty well for a basic page. And here is the basic page. This is an 8.5 by 11 folded in half, and you know, it kind of works with that. If you have a smaller journal, then of course you may want to go to a 3-inch square or 2 3/4 or something of that nature. You'll want to cut that down perhaps. And these are for the corner tucks, which will be for, if you want to, you can make them for both in the corners here or in the corners down here. So they kind of become a tuck, and down here they almost become a pocket. So you can make it for any of the corners. And then for the side ones, I just get a like 2 by 4 inch piece of cardstock there. And of course you may need to cut it down depending on the size, but this will be glued in right here on the edge, and then you will be tucking in ephemera like that. So those are the two bases that I begin with. And what I like about it is that it not only gives you kind of a guide to glue on, but also because you're layering so many papers, I think it makes it easier to slide ephemera up behind that than sometimes if there's several layers it can get caught on things. And if you're using paper that might be vintage, it might tear easily or something, but I have found that to be really helpful for me anyways. So we're going to start with that, and I'm going to go ahead and make, I got to decide, is this going to be an upper right corner, upper left? I've already made an upper right. Let's make an upper left corner. And I'm going to get a book page. Now you can cut this straight, you can tear it however you like that to be. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this just because I really don't want these words to show out like that. I don't want to be able to actually read the words. And let me just tear this down like that. Okay, there, I like that. And this is going to be glued up over this thing here, this base. So you can tear it ahead of time, you can cut it later, I mean, however works for you. I'm just going to go ahead. And then when I glue it down, I want to make sure that it hangs out, that it hangs over this base a little bit. And this way I know that I can get that covered. And then I can just take my ruler again, and I can just tear it off like so. Now I have my little base done there. So that'll use up a little bit of your book page. And then I'm going to start auditioning different papers down here. So before I go any further, I did want to point out, and I went ahead and I glued my 3 pieces together, but if you wanted to mass make them, you could make them this far and just add your, 3 or 4 papers on here and just stop there. And then have those in your stash so that when you actually know the journal you're doing, the theme, the colors, or whatever, then you can go and add those on afterwards. And so anyways, I want to do this little bird, and I found a piece of lace. This lace here, when I looked at it closely, you know what I saw? I saw little crowns. So I'm going to use this as a little crown for his head. But it gets really lost with all that music paper, so I thought I would put in just a piece of tea stain paper. And so that's also something you might want to think about, and just depending on what your collage is about. But if you feel like your particular focus piece is being lost, then maybe putting in something plain in the background like that could help it to stand out just a little bit better. So I think I'm going to go for this here, and let's see, I think the crown will do well. Yep, I think it'll do really cute here. Just a little bit of whimsy, something cute. And I still want to do a little bit more here. Wonder if I should put in one of my little flowers, or let's see. Does need a little something else. Here's this lace here. Let's see what this will do. And I'll just cut a little bit of that off. And maybe that can get tucked in there like so. That's kind of cute. I could add a little bit of color, but I don't want to add too much. Okay, let's just try this here. Let's try a little piece up here, like that. So I think that would be really cute there. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this. Okay, just above there. All right, so let's just start gluing it on. All right, so now that I've got the major player on there, I'm going to get a supporting actor, and I think I might be using this. Don't know yet. Kind of like this lace. I'm looking at the leaf coming off of here. Kind of like that idea as if it's coming off of the stick that the branch that he is sitting on. Kind of, if we're going to go for whimsy, let's go for whimsy, right? And let's see, I could put this little guy in there. He might be too distracting though, so let's just see. I can't find a little tiny label or something here. So for this corner tuck over here, I went ahead and added one of those little newsprint flowers. Just thought needed one more little item, so that's finished. Now I went ahead and made some other ones, and I thought I had filmed this one, but apparently I didn't hit the record button. But this is the triangle, and this is the one that's going to be fitting on the edge of the page like so and be a tuck spot like that. And I just took strips of paper, and you can see I have one strip, two, this is a third strip, and a fourth strip. Just put them on, let them hang over a little bit. I'm still going to be gluing, on the cardstock itself. And if you have, some hesitation, if you feel like you've got paper that's kind of thin there, you can always go in with a little extra piece of cardstock or something and just, glue it down there and trim it off and just, give it a little bit more support. You can always go back and do that if you feel like it won't, but this should be fine. And what I really like about this is to suggest using a big, large centerpiece. Whatever your whatever your piece you want your eye to be drawn to, use a large one. Because for me, this is one of those Tim Holtz flowers. But the real large ones I just haven't used for such a long time. They've been sitting in my drawer. And this is a good opportunity to do that. So that can just be your focal point. And I just add a little ribbon for interest and texture. And it's really pretty much done just by doing that. So that's another idea for your focal point if you want to do something of that nature. And here are, of course, the other corners that I did off camera. And this here sticks down away from the base, but I made sure it was a cardstock so that it wouldn't get torn or wrinkled or whatever. And a piece of cloth, and here I made the doily sort of the centerpiece of this collage here. Oh, there we go. There are our, well, I guess these are mine. You'll have to go make your own. Little tuck spots to put on our page. And yeah, so that was kind of fun. I think you got the idea pretty much of how that goes, and using up your scraps and everything. So thank you so much for viewing, and I hope you found inspiration here and go out and get your scraps and start using them up. So we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye.